Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rakuten booth theatre at MWC Barcelona 2026. Next up, we all know that Rakuten Mobile's success has been fundamentally built on openness as its core principle. Now, over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be hearing from a selection of partners across Rakuten Mobile's open radio unit ecosystem. To moderate this discussion, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our moderator, Roy Chua, the founder and principal of AvidThink. I'll allow Roy to introduce the session in more detail. Over to you, Roy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good afternoon here on the second day of MWC, but I'm sure many of you have probably been here for much longer. We're going to talk about Open RAN, which has been a favorite topic for many years, actually. But I think the difference now is that it's available at scale. Sorry, it's feedback. I'll speak more softly. Can you hear me? No. But we're going to talk about multi-vendor Open RAN, which has been the promise of Open RAN as it was first introduced, and see where we really are in terms of the state of the art today. All right. So the title here is Fostering a... Can you hear me? Oh, it's a little weird, yeah. Fostering a multi-vendor Open RAN ecosystem and paving the way for AI RAN. And joining me today, I have a team of esteemed panelists that represent a truly multi-vendor ecosystem. I'll let them just briefly introduce their name and their company, and then we'll get started. And I'll start over there. Go ahead, Nitin.
Hi, I'm Nitin from Qualcomm, Nitin Agarwal.
I'm Eric from Samsung Networks.
I'm Glenn Laxdal from Airspan.
I'm Patrik Eriksson from Onefinity.
Hi everyone. So my name is Sudhakar. I'm heading Radio Access Network in Rakuten Mobile. Thank you so much.
Excellent. And Sudhakar has his own private microphone, so it's, we're sharing. It's almost equal, right? Yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead. So I'm gonna warm up the panelists here. Not that they need any warm up, but I'm gonna ask them to complete a very simple sentence, and it's gonna go something like this: the one thing the telco industry still gets wrong about ORAN is, I'm going to start with Sudhakar.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Roy, for putting this together. And this is a, multi-vendor ecosystem which is sitting on the stage. And answer your question, I believe maturity.
Okay. So the one thing the telco industry gets wrong about ORAN is it's immature. All right. Yeah. Good. Let's go next to Patrik.
I think what they get wrong is that they still think that mixed vendor ORAN is a science project.
Okay. And this panel is definitely not a science project. Since we're in this order, let's go with Glenn. Glenn, go ahead.
I think the thing that the industry gets wrong is that this is a journey and that we're moving in the right direction.
Okay. Got it?
Actually, I agree with him. I don't agree it's not ready. I think it's commercially ready now already. Okay.
Thank you. I agree with the panel. So the message that industry is taking that it's a lack of performance and optimization, which is not the case. We have pretty much closed the gap compared to the different vendors as well.
I think that's fair. I think what we do here still, which is not true, I want to make sure it's not true, is that ORAN is incompatible with something like, say, massive MIMO, right? And that I think we're going to prove here. And rather than just us saying it, we're actually going to go through a discussion with proof points around why Open RAN is ready and Open RAN actually is truly multi-vendor, and they're not just sitting here because they're friends, right? That it actually does work together. So let's take a look at Rakuten Mobile. That's where we're sitting in this booth here, right? Rakuten Mobile's ORAN deployment in Tokyo definitely puts technology to test in a pretty high-density city, right? What first-hand insights can you share about your ORAN performance in Tokyo, especially compared to traditional networks? And obviously, Sudhakar, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roy. So when we started in 2018 or 2019, there was discussion or people were saying that ORAN won't work. Then over the period of time, it converted, no, it will work, but it will work on the rural areas, right? Then afterwards, what we have proven that fast forward 5 years, we have deployed world largest open radio access network, which is size of 350,000 cells. And it is across 4G, 5G, indoor, outdoor. So all type of deployment has been captured. And also in terms of, the next question was, okay, probably it will work in rural, but not in dense areas. Then we have proven that wrong again, that we have deployed in Tokyo and Osaka, which is world largest densely populated areas. And that too, the next question came, probably LTE will work, but not massive MIMO. Our deployment of 5G, 80% is massive MIMO. And it's running in the, both Osaka, Tokyo, and Pan Japan. So it has been proven that ORAN, it's not only for kind of rural solution, but it works at scale in dense environment. And, talking about performance, that next question, how the performance is. So I don't need to share any data which is private. It's available in public. If you go to OpenSignal, see the ranking, what Rakuten Mobile holds. There are almost all the KPIs where we are compatible with incumbent, and there are certain KPIs wherein we are performing much better than that. So that means it's performing at scale, and performance is also equal to what traditional vendor is offering.
Excellent. Thanks, Sudhakar. And you may say, well, it's special to Rakuten because it's Rakuten, right? And only Rakuten can make ORAN work. Well, that's not entirely true. So let's also get another point of view on this. So Rakuten obviously gets a lot of mentions around ORAN, but Onefinity has worked with a lot of other carriers around the world as well, in addition to Rakuten. For example, we all know Dish Boost Mobile, right? And it had over 100,000 ORAN RU deployed. Now, let's put aside for the time being, I know all of you are thinking, well, it's Boost, maybe not the world's best example, but let's put aside, right, Boost business and financial challenges. Here we're talking about the architecture and the rollout and the RU. Let's focus on the technology and the operations, right? What has that experience taught you about scaling ORAN across these different diverse geographies, of which Boost is one? Patrik.
Yeah, I think there's mainly two things that are different if you compare to single RAN, and it's basically the integration and it's the lifecycle management. So, and neither of these, if we start with integration, it's not really, technically more complex. It's just that you need to have two companies that are doing what is normally done inside one company today. So it's more a project execution challenge than a technical challenge. So and that also means that you can implement processes, you can improve the processes, and you can improve collaboration. So I think that over time it will certainly approach what you do in single RAN. It will not be easier than single RAN. We should not claim that, but it will be as easy, I would say. Second challenge is the lifecycle management. Now you have two companies that are responsible for lifecycle management of the product, and it's software on two sides, so they need to be kind of co-verified and so on. But this is also not a technical challenge, because this is exactly like in single RAN. It's just that you need to have two parties, two companies that collaborate. So you need good project setup, good project execution, and good agreements between all parts involved.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, I think it would be unfair to pretend that there is no complexity, right? That Open RAN makes everything perfect and easy. But on the other hand, we know that we've done this in other places in IT. I mean, otherwise we would all be running mainframes today, right? From that one single vendor who's actually still here, right? And the reality is, if you break it apart and have standard interfaces and standardization and the vibrant ecosystem and demand, that in fact it can work. And to add yet one more vendor to the equation, let's talk about Airspan. So Airspan has pioneered ORAN across diverse scenarios, and you have some very specialized niche applications as well, right? So what aspects make ORAN not just viable, but potentially even advantageous for demanding or specialized use cases? And what does that reveal about where the maturity of technology is today, Glenn?
Well, we like two things about Open RAN. One is that as a small vendor, we like to move into spaces where we can innovate. And if we're moving into spaces where we can innovate, we need to rely on an ecosystem of other like-minded vendors that can, together we can develop best-in-class solutions. Another aspect, a related aspect to Open RAN that we like is Open RAN is inherently programmable because we've defined open interfaces between the baseband, the radio, the application set, the management system. We can also use to our advantage the ability to program at each one of those points in the network. And so, for example, I mean, we're Open RAN by design. One of the solutions that we've implemented that we're putting into production this year is the air to ground solution. So here we program on top of a platform building block. We program at layer 1. We provide the same layer 1 on the base station side. We provide the same programming on the UE, and then we connect those two in an air to ground solution that delivers 100 megabits a second, across a tremendously long 100-kilometer, 200-kilometer, 300-kilometer link to airplanes that are going 600 miles an hour. That requires programmability. That requires innovation across the ecosystem, and so we work with our ecosystem partners to make that happen. And that could not be done with a single monolithic solution. So,
yeah, lots of specializations, lots of collaboration, and excellent.
Correct.
Yep. So speaking of the ecosystem, we're going to talk about sort of, is ORAN a healthy and growing multi-vendor ecosystem? And I think you'll find the answer to be yes. And to help emphasize that, let's bring in sort of the other players in the ecosystem. So I think, one of the things about the ecosystem is very often we stop the conversation at, deployability, right? And so, yeah, okay, you can deploy it, you can get it up, right? ORAN's cool, right? Can you maintain it, right? And so I think the question here is, most operators, if you're an operator, you live mostly in day 2, right? Your operations, fault isolation, the boring stuff, but the important stuff, actually, right? And so based on Samsung's deployment, because you do have ORAN deployments across the globe as well, right? You were involved in some of the examples that were cited earlier. Based on experience, what does managing multi-vendor ORAN operations look like today, Eric? And how does automation orchestration make it more manageable?
Okay. So I think data complexity is more important topic for this ORAN, making ORAN work. Actually, and also Samsung has some strong experiences with some global tier 1 operators like Verizon, KDDI, and Vodafone as well. Actually, I can address some 4 points here. Number 1 is by some system integration services. Actually, we are delivering those services for our customers. We have some 3 models to address some desires from different customers. Number 1 is Samsung is acting as some primary solution provider, taking all responsibility from commercial side as well as some technical side. That's number 1. And second is Samsung is act as a lead some integrator, taking just technical, some responsibilities. And last one is based on some customers, some different desire. So actually, all these 3 models are actually running in commercial network for some data operation now. Yeah. So and second point I'd like to address is based on some automated orchestration. Samsung has our own product named some cognitive NOS. This is network operation suite. So with this, we are delivering some unified framework that AI, some applications can easily access to individual all data and configurations together. So it's very easy to build some AI applications to make problem easier. So that might be number 2. And third one is utilizing some agent fabric with some multiple AI agents. Here, the beauty is that actually, agent fabric provides some foundation of some AI agents. So AI agent can automatically monitor, evaluate, and act utilizing this foundation. So this is very good for this automation perspective. And last one is most important thing I believe, because now we have multiple vendors, right? So strong partnership is very important.
Yes.
So actually, we are building a very strong partnership across many some partners, not only from some executive level, but also the working level, from the some commercial side to the R&D to the some actual QA process as well. So we are making some entire process as a team, even we are from different countries. So with this, we always guarantee some quick resolution of some issues, and as well as or at least some time to market, even with this multi-vendor project. So In summary, based on this kind of some SI services
Yes.
and also some AI-based tools
Yep.
and this kind of strong partnerships, we can manage this kind of some
Excellent.
day two.
So you're finding that the openness allows
Yes,
that
yes, sure.
feasibility,
Sure.
right? Allows profitability on the integration part as well, hopefully, right?
Yes.
And that multiple vendors can be managed.
Yes.
Which is good. That's a good point. All right, we're going to go to a little different vendor in that multi-vendor ecosystem. Not necessarily someone who builds radios for a living, but someone who provides the silicon. So Qualcomm silicon sits in the radios, also the UEs, right, from multiple vendors. So based on your work with multiple radio vendors, some of whom might be here, I'm not sure, but how mature is the mix and match? Speaking of what Eric was pointing to, how mature is the mix and match across the CU, the DUs, the RUs from different vendors today? Not sure you mix CU, DUs, but say you wanted to, right? What role does silicon play?
So the way I'll structure is the standardization is very important. Once on the device side, like we know it started from 2G days, 3G, 4G, 5G, now we are talking about 6G. So standard is playing a very important role. And when we go to Open RAN, like the massive MIMO deployments, option 7.2, again, it's a pretty standard interface that's needed to even comply with the DU and RU. So the first thing I would say, standardization is very, very important. And how do you integrate that based on the standards? So I want to take one example. Like we have been working with Viettel in Asia Pacific for close to 2 years now. We started with very basic functional lab trials, and then it moves towards going towards the field deployment. Initially, we saw like the throughput is not doing good or the mobility is not doing good. We implemented a lot of features on the L1 physical layer where we can optimize and match the performance compared to the traditional vendors. But again, if the standardization is not there, it's very difficult to close on the interface. That's one thing. Second thing is coming to the standards on the device as well. Now, Open RAN is already there. As a future, if we need different features like release 17 or even release 19, one example is, okay, you are doing terrestrial network based on the Open RAN. Can I also go towards the non-terrestrial networks? So even in the NTN space, Open RAN is also playing a very important role from standards perspective. So we do see like a lot of discussion coming around the satellite payloads, how we can do that. But the underlying statement on the massive MIMO is again option 7.2, which is enabling the industry starting with terrestrial network and going towards non-terrestrial networks. So in a way, I would summarize is, if standards are not there, it's very difficult to like map different partners across the ecosystem.
And the collective, I was just going to ask, I mean, you all work with Qualcomm, right? And among other silicon providers. Is the innovation sort of, you feel it's faster, more because of the openness of Open RAN? I don't know, what your thoughts? Anyone want to add to that? No? Yep.
I think it is because the silicon vendors get pushed from so many different directions. So I think it kind of forces a faster evolution. I know for sure we are pushing our silicon vendors, including Qualcomm, quite a bit. So so hopefully this will lead to ultimately better customer experience.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal of an open ecosystem, right? If you're not pushing each other, if there's no competition, then there's less incentives to make things better, right? If it was vertically integrated, it could be a lot harder to push that vendor, right?
Definitely, because form factor is a very important thing.
Yeah.
From the power perspective as well, like it needs to be power efficient. So like if you know, like we have accelerator solutions, you put it on the server and enable it. Certain customers are looking for a customized solution. Can I put this particular silicon on my baseband unit?
Yes.
Definitely it is possible because the standards are complying, silicon is already there. Now it's up to the operators and customers how they want to do it.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And speaking of operators, I know operators are very important. I know very often in the ecosystem, we're trying to drive the vendor ecosystem. And operators sometimes make promises, then the vendors show up, then the operator decides in a different way, then the vendors get upset because it's like, we made all this investment because you asked for a vibrant ecosystem, we're here, but you're not delivering. So I want to sort of go back to the beginning of Rakuten, right? Rakuten Mobile. You started with actually a more concentrated vendor set, which probably makes sense at that point in time, right? And over time, you've expanded into all your partners that are sort of sitting here, right? Now, can you maybe walk us through the journey and the thinking, right? What drove the expansion? And as you expanded, obviously, as we learn, it's not painless, right? So there was probably learnings and elements there. And what's the nature of their journey? What's the nature of the learnings? And obviously, Rakuten is interesting because you got Rakuten Mobile, you get the Rakuten Symphony. How do you encode all that learnings so that other carriers who want to use this ecosystem don't have to go through that pain again? A long question, sorry.
No. That's absolutely very good question. So let me take a step back. When we started in 2018, 2019, we were looking for a partner who are like-minded and invest on innovation. And of course, at that time, the number was very less. But we have onboarded people and proven over the period of time that technology is working. And Rakuten Group in certain extent is very special, and reason is the leadership, which is coming from our founder and group CEO Mikitani-san. And I can talk about a bit of history how Rakuten was started in 1997 when nobody was buying on the internet. Mikitani-san has started Ichiba, which is e-commerce company, because he can foresee at least 5 to 10 years vision that what is coming over the period of time. And then same happened with 2018, 2019, when we are supposed to launch as an MNO, because MVNO services was there. Rakuten was providing MVNO services. There was two choices. One is go with traditional vendor, which is easy path, or since we were fourth operator, how to disrupt the industry, how to bring the innovation, and go with ORAN path. But Mikitani-san has taken that decision to go with ORAN, which was difficult decision because nobody believes that Open RAN will work and works at scale.
Oh yeah.
But
sure.
we are fortunate enough to have leaders like him who's guiding, mentoring us, and he can foresee that what things is coming over next 5 years. And now we are today in 2025, and we feel that was the best decision what he has taken, because our network is software defined and driven. We are having different generation of silicon. We don't need to change the hardware. We can add the features through software upgrade. So that's the beauty of ORAN. And of course, it has to be complemented with cloud native architecture if you wanted to get real benefit of ORAN. And that's what we did. We built our network, which is completely cloud native and virtualized. So each function which has been deployed in Rakuten Mobile is virtualized. And also the programmability in the network, that software, because of software you can innovate very quickly. And investment also controlled, whereas in case of hardware, suppose one box replaced with another, it's kind of huge investment. And of course, this journey was not easy. It was very difficult. And then again, second thought process was, whatever we have done, and of course we have gone through a lot of pain, how we can, those learnings can, propagate it to the global customer. And that's how, Symphony was formed. And so that operator can start where we are.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, 3, 4, 5 years of good amount of efforts will be, given to the global partners. And also through Rakuten Mobile, it is kind of, well proven, because these are huge investment decisions. It's not an easy decision to, just for technology's sake, people will say that ORAN is good and, investor will invest on it. And one point also I wanted to add, within launch of 5 years, this, 2025, Rakuten Group financial results for 25 is announced. And Rakuten Mobile has achieved full year profitability, which is amazing. So it's this message to the boardroom as well, that we are not only transforming, it's sustainable as well. Because technology is good, but if it is not sustainable, then people will not invest. So that value we are bringing and a confidence to the global community of operator.
Yeah, I breathe a sigh of relief, by the way, when you guys hit EBITDA positive on that, because some of the other larger examples didn't quite make it, right? It's nothing to do with the technology, right? Again, there's learnings and there's grinding. I mean, again, it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think the key here is it's not easy, but that shouldn't scare anyone, because I think what's important is that the learnings are there. The learnings have been codified in the products that you all collectively ship, right? It's codified in the Symphony platform that if you choose to, right, you can start with, right? So I think that's important. I think that's, for me, the sort of the key lesson here. You don't have to walk the same journey again, because these guys have.
Yeah.
Right?
You need to start with from where we left. And just to add one more point, that Symphony, all softwares are getting first deployed Rakuten mobile. So it's kind of when they go to the global market, it's already validated in the.
They've tested it. Yeah. All the
tested.
bugs are on you, right? Yeah.
And it's a hell lot of pain, which we all know that
That's good. That's good. That's good. So I think one of the things that sort of points to the vibrant ecosystem is that I think the reality is that I think the sort of the RU ecosystem will remain healthy. I think part of it realistically is that I don't think well, you have multiple vendors here, right? They compete, they collaborate at the same time. That's part of a vibrant ecosystem. But it's probably unreasonable to have one RU vendor solve it all, right? I mean, reality is, right? So we know that, band combinations, frequencies are multiplying, and we have more variations. And so, so Glenn, what's your opinion? I mean, obviously you build radios, right? You have flexibility in there. Do you think you could ever dominate and cover everything that any operator wanted in the world? Or? Yeah.
It's becoming just about impossible for one vendor to cover all the band combinations, the frequency variance, the bandwidth that needs to be covered, the power levels that are required, the form factors that are required. And so the ecosystem is going to become more and more important going forward. The radio ecosystem in particular is going to become more and more important going forward,
Yep.
I would think. And then the other thing that's happening is that the integration of the technology, starting with the chipset, but also the rest of the glue logic that fits around that chipset, the integration is driving such significant performance improvements right now in size, weight, and power that as you're knitting together multiple band combinations across wide frequency variants, you can hit a size, weight, and power that you couldn't have 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you're a monolithic vendor, trust me, we know you want to be amortizing your radios over a 5-year window. And what we're seeing right now is that the amount of progress that we can make in improving the radios every 2 years is so significant that if you're an operator and you're not taking advantage of the latest radio technology, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage against your competitors.
It sounds like a Jensen argument, right? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It's a Jensen argument.
It's a Jensen argument. Every 12 months, operators need to refresh their radios because that's the pace we're operating at to match the AI GPU on the other side, right?
Absolutely.
You heard it here first, right? 12-month cycle now. Forget 5-7 years. 12-month cycles, right? And you're all happy, right? Very good. Well, speaking of the future and future ready, and because we already brought up Jensen, or I brought up Jensen, we got to talk about AI RAN. And some of you are going to nod, some of you are going to sigh, some of you are going to like, oh my God, AI RAN, AI. But the reality is that we're going to be future ready, right? And whatever your definition of AI RAN is and how you would like it, and whether you align with the AI RAN Alliance's way of looking at AI RAN is, there's going to be AI, there's going to be RAN, and so some combination is going to appear in the world, right? And so the key thing here is to be ready for it. And to be ready for it, we talk about hardware, we also talk about software. And so how do we get ready for the future? Never say future-proof. I usually say future-ready, right? Because we know there's no such thing as future-proof, well, unless some of the vendors will tell you otherwise, but that's okay. We'll start with Qualcomm. So because Qualcomm has the silicon, Qualcomm also has a software roadmap, right? And so you have a software-driven roadmap delivering things that we all want, like everyone wants uplink improvements so we can upload TikTok videos faster because it's important to our lifestyles, right? Beamforming, right? NTN, which you brought up. Other release 17, 18, 19 features. So looking ahead, how does AI and ML sort of feature in your roadmap, and what elements should we expect going forward as part of this whole software-driven ecosystem?
Yeah, very good point on the AI part. So as I said earlier, we started with very functional basic validation, starting from the lab trial. Then commercialization is already done pretty much in most of the networks. Now, as part of the user experience, how do we improve that? So one thing is on the device side. Certain algorithms like how do I enhance the RSRP? I can probably create certain models on the device, and I can probably try to optimize that. So that's one piece of the story. Similar thing on the Open RAN side. When I talk about the network, So on the network side also, there are different algorithms. Like if I take an example, like we recently had on the roadmap. So one is the uplink link adaptation. So it's not only on the L1, even from the L2 perspective, it needs to be optimized. So from layers perspective, you need to send all those data back to the scheduler so that you can optimize that. That's one example. Second thing related to the downlink link adaptation as well. From the user experience, as Roy mentioned about, how do we optimize the user experience? So my parameters needs to be optimized on that. So on the layer 2, layer 1, definitely there are many parameters needs to be optimized, and AI plays a very important role. Third example I'll take from the operator perspective. My uptime from the system perspective needs to be in a fraction of seconds. How can I improve the calibration part when I'm bringing up the system? So that's where AI also play a very important role. I learn a model and then I try to figure out how can I improve my uptime. So that's another example. Now going towards the roadmap, operators have really invested so much money in the particular product. Now, can I make it software upgradable? I need to go towards RedCap. Can I do release 17? I need to go towards NTN as well. Can I upgrade that? So definitely from the software roadmap perspective, it can be done. It depends on the particular release, what you want to do.
No, I think that's fair. And anything to add, guys, on top of what Nitin laid out and software defined or AI ran? No?
Just to add, AI RAN, of course, it is coming because we are into the era of AI. But for that, you need to build a foundation. And how the foundation will be built? For that, you need open interfaces. And I think it's not, we need to compare whether AI RAN will come or ORAN will come. ORAN is building a foundation, which is, a step towards AI RAN. So that's what.
I think that's an important point, right? ORAN defines the interfaces that allows the innovation. So you can bring in other players who may be AI experts, ML experts, agentic AI experts to come in and participate in the ecosystem. And without the open standardization, it's harder to drive the innovation, right? Because it becomes closed. I think that's important. Now, speaking of, on the thread of AI RAN, I think, Infinity, you have done some AI RAN work with some of the other carriers in Japan as well, on top of Rakuten. And you, again, have an MWC showcase this year. You had one last year, remember that. So without giving away the punchline, can you tell us more about the kinds of AI RAN capabilities that are moving from lab to field, like what's becoming real? And why does an open, ecosystem make AI RAN more achievable than it would be?
Yeah, I think what we've done in the area of AI RAN, it's been initially very focused on performance and capacity. It's been massive MIMO and trying to get macro, basically leveraging the performance of GPU to add performance to the macro network.
Right.
So, and this has worked out fine. I think there's still, we have a long way to go adding new types of algorithms and so on in that space. But I see this more from our perspective. This is more something, 5G advanced going into 6G, the timing of this. But we don't want to wait that long until we kind of commercialize our solution. So I think that there is more near-term use cases, which are more AI and RAN use cases, which is basically leveraging the shared infrastructure between the RAN workload and the AI workload, where we can benefit from the explosion of the edge data centers and run the RAN workload on those and more support the enterprise applications. Maybe the AI application is the number one priority, and the RAN is the connectivity to that. So I think that's probably how we see AI RAN moving forward from our perspective. I can also add, maybe on the radio side, on the AI RAN side, is also what Qualcomm referred to here. Our massive MIMO radios also has great compute capability.
Yes.
So this means that our massive MIMO radios are basically AI ready. So as Qualcomm are developing more, let's say, AI-based features for the radios, we can easily absorb those into our products without any need for hardware upgrades.
Oh, fair enough. Excellent. Very good. So, we talk about AI RAN, and I know there's AI for RAN, AI on RAN, right, all the different things. But let's take also the other perspective about the network for AI, right? Because, there's AI RAN, but RAN for AI too. So with regard to today's RAN infrastructure for AI, Eric, right? Samsung says network for AI, right? You use that term. What does that vision look like, right? How is Samsung and your operator partners preparing the underlying ORAN infrastructure to be easier managed with AI, because AI ops it's an important thing, and to better serve AI workloads?
Yeah, actually, our view is that all network components should be deployable to AI native infrastructure to fully utilize some AI capabilities from AI platform providers, such as some AI model or AI tools or some computing, some resources, whatever. So that is very important, I think. And actually, for Samsung perspective, or some components like DU, CU, InnoDB, and Core, even transport, are fully virtualized. And also, we are supporting some cloud-native architecture, same as Rakuten. So I do believe Samsung is already ready for network for AI. In the sense, it's no more a vision. And now we are moving to expand some ecosystem further. In the sense, because definitely some customers would like to monetize their network, creating new extra revenue, right? So now we are gathering some application providers who will not conflict with actual telco services.
Yes.
For our customers to enable to earn more some revenue from this infrastructure. So now we are there.
Excellent. Any other of you providing that kind of capabilities for monetization of other AI workloads, or any examples yet, or Patrik?
Yeah, I think what I mentioned about the enterprise use cases is actually there's a different use case. It's not the improve my uplink with 1.3 dB. It's more, can we find new revenue streams that leverage the shared infrastructure and the closer connection between the AI application and the RAN. So I think there's definitely opportunities for operators to leverage this. Not wait until the 6G introduction, but actually quite soon.
Yeah, I think that's very clear. What I'm hearing is, we're not waiting for 6G. We got to monetize 5G, and I think the reality is a lot of the future releases features are being moved in, so I can get things like integrated sensing or other capabilities, improve uplink with a 5G, sort of underlying foundation, so I can actually get at the use cases that can monetize it, so I can get enough money to at some point invest in 6G, whatever that turns out to be, right? Excellent. Very good. So I'm going to ask the audience to get ready. If you have questions, you're welcome. We'll take a couple of questions from the audience. And think about what you want to ask. And I'm going to go to the lightning round, which, we call it the lightning round, but we'll see how lightning it is. Because, you tell the panelists, like, you have 30 seconds, and, Rob will run his clock here and see if actually Patrik sits within 30 seconds. But we'll see. But it's the quick round. Let's just call it the quick round, the faster round, right? But think about any questions that you want to ask them. So you should direct hard questions to them. Think of, what do you want to know about ORAN, ecosystem, compatibility, even AI RAN. So go ahead. All right, lightning round, kinda. So what do you think will be the defining moment or milestone in the next 2 years that proves that ORAN has permanently crossed the chasm from the alternative, which kind of is still, to the default, right? And the order is, I'm going to start giving the hard questions because Glenn's looking at me very intently. Glenn, you go first.
I'm always looking at you intently. Lightning round. So the forcing function for Open RAN would be AI. We just talked about the clever new technologies are going to be introduced into AI, and AI is not going to wait for 6G, and so that will be a forcing function to Open RAN.
Excellent, good. That was almost 30 seconds. I wasn't timing it, but it was really good. Now Nitin is going to beat you, not in speed, but Nitin, you next.
So I will probably add what Glenn said. Adoption of AI definitely is a part of coming deployment. So from operator perspective, like spectral efficiency is very, very important because you're not going to put more money in the spectrum. So how do I extract juice out of the existing sources? So adoption of AI, as I explained, certain algorithms, that's going to play a very important role.
Oh, that's really cool. It'd be great to say only ORAN radios have this. You have no choice but to buy it, right? Okay. All right, next is Patrik. I almost want to say you cannot use AI as the answer, but you can answer any way you want. Yes.
I will not use AI as the answer.
Excellent.
So I think the defining moment is when we see mixed vendor massive MIMO deployments at scale, not only in Rakuten, but across operators globally.
Because Rakuten's special, right? So
they're very special.
They're very special, actually.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, they're so special. I'll keep the best for last. Eric, you go next.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to insist we already passed chasm, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's okay. You
yeah,
can say that. That's
yeah.
good.
But in order to accelerate some deployment speed, definitely we or some partners in the ecosystem should work together. I mean, to show some practices together for our customers to encourage some deployment speed. So that's
Excellent. Very good. All right, Sudhakar, you have the last word.
Okay. So in terms of prediction, it's hard to predict whether it will go, from optional to default. But I think that is the journey which each operator has to take. The early they will take better position they are, position themselves. And it's not like the first one wherein they need to try. It's already tried, tested. It's only now we are talking about adoption. So I think it will be coming. But answer whether it will go from optional to default, it all depends on the CTO of the operator side, how they are taking the call.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I thought your answer was going to be when 50% of the global MNOs deploy Symphony is when the crossover point is.
Very good, you have covered that. So that solution is ready, but of course the call is on operator side. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Sudhakar. All right, audience, any questions? No? I'm going to... Excellent. We get to escape. Very good. We've answered all your questions about Open RAN. It's ready to deploy. It's mature, and then if you deploy Symphony, you can have it right away, maybe. These are all your radio providers here. All the options, all colors. It comes in red, blue, green, whatever color you want, any size you want. So, and they're all backed by that silicon provider over there. So excellent. Well, thank you, panelists. Thank you for an excellent session. Really appreciate the perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, for your time.